Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Mark Waller with Mastering Thought, and I'm here with Vanessa Marino, who's the manager of our online community Thought Masters, which has seen a lot of activity this week. Say hello, Vanessa.
Hi, everybody. Hope you all are doing great today. I'm
I
so
thought
excited.
I thought I saw your mouth move, but I didn't hear any sound, so I wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think my audio isn't catching up today. It's okay.
Yeah, everything looks good. Now we're going to have a discussion tonight. We encourage you to ask us questions. And it's been pointed out to me that not everybody wants their names or their usernames to show up on the screen. So if you want to make a comment or ask a question and you don't want it shown on the screen, just say don't show. And then ask your question. I'll read it, we'll talk about it, but they won't see your username and your anonymity will be protected.
Sweet.
And so tonight, unless you've got something first, Vanessa, I wanted to kick this off with a concept that we are using virtual headsets.
I'm
And
interested. Please say more.
so I gotta give some attribution here. There's an absolute genius who's researching consciousness. His name is Donald Hoffman, and I believe he's at UC Irvine. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Cal State Fullerton. I believe it's UC Irvine. And I would encourage anybody who's listening to look this guy up because he's broken the code on God or consciousness or whatever, and he understands how all this works. Anyway, he introduced me to this concept of a headset, and it suddenly occurred to me, how can I translate this to our audience? And it occurred to me that thought is a headset.
Beautiful. Okay.
And so if you saw the thumbnail for the program tonight, it's a picture of a guy wearing a virtual reality headset and he's looking up. And so the concept here is that since we are so identified with thought, that thought has become a headset and we are experiencing virtual reality by way of believing our thoughts.
Mm.
And so in this virtual reality, we are listening to the voice in our head and it's painting a picture that we think we see and we're responding to that picture, but it's not reality, it's a virtual reality. So in essence, we're wearing a headset. Does that prompt any ideas for you?
I mean, yeah, it goes back to presence. So once again, we have a headset and we're not mastering this presence that is right in front of us. Like we have a lens,
That's
so to speak.
right. That's right. It's a distorted lens.
Mhm.
Um, and it's distorted in as much as we're not seeing reality, we're seeing a version of reality that's being generated by the headset that we're wearing. And how do we put the headset on? We put the headset on by identifying the voice in our head as ourselves.
Yeah.
And of course, if you look at somebody wearing a headset, they're much more than the headset, aren't they?
Yeah.
So by virtue of wearing the headset, we're not experiencing our true self.
No.
And so that's the concept. And I thought it was in a way a better metaphor than I've ever used to explain this whole thought identification thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, when we think of a headset, I feel like it even goes further than talking about having a lens. So, like a different perspective, so to speak. So, a headset is like, think about when you have music on. Like, you have this whole headset on, you're jamming, you're so in tune with it that you're not seeing anything else. And it makes sense why we can see reality in that way. Like you're
Uh-huh.
so focused on your thoughts and you think that that's the truth and nothing but the truth, and that's you can't get out of it. And it's a really great analogy to be able to say, okay, yeah, it was the same thing as music. Like you're listening to it, that's all you can think about. Well, what about you put some thoughts into that, and now all you can think about are those same thoughts.
So
Scary.
I was a little hesitant to use the headset analogy because I wasn't sure all of our viewers have actually used a VR headset. Have you ever used one?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, you've got to go try one. I mean, it is the eeriest, most spooky experience in the world
Yeah.
because you're totally immersed in this world.
Right.
And it has depth and it has three dimensions, and when it moves you feel queasy because you think things are actually moving, and there's all this stuff going on, and it feels real. It really feels real.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of experience with them, but I had a headset for a while, and when I first put it on, it was amazing.
Mm.
And so imagine human beings, we put on this headset and we think it's amazing. We think it's real, and we're responding to it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, if you're in a relationship, both people are wearing a headset, and your headset's telling you the other person's doing something they're not doing, and their headset's telling you you're not doing what they think you're doing, and then it's a complete disconnect. It's a bad
Yeah.
juju.
Ooh, that's a great analogy. Yeah. We're living in two different worlds.
Exactly.
And like, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Why aren't you seeing what I'm seeing? Well, it's because I
That
have a headset on.
that's
Ah.
right. That's right. And your headset is telling you one thing, and you're experiencing, I mean, the way you move your lips and the way you look at me and everything is the same,
Mhm.
but my interpretation of what you're doing is very real to me, and it's completely inaccurate.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, let me just encourage you to comment, and it would be nice if I had my comments window open so I could see the
That
comments.
would be nice.
Oh, let me move this over here. Great. So if you have a comment or a question, please put it in the comments. And also, if you don't want your username to be shown, because normally we put the comments up on the screen, if you don't want that to happen, please just in the front of the comment just say "don't show," and so I won't show it. So yeah, so that's the concept.
I love it.
Now, if you stay tuned to the end of the live stream tonight, which will probably end about 7 o'clock, there's another. We're actually wearing two headsets, and I'll reference what the other one
Oh,
is because it's even spookier.
oh, that's intense. I don't know if I want to know because maybe I have two headsets, maybe three. Who knows?
So one of my jobs as a therapist, the way I do therapy, it's
Mm.
really not therapy. People right away understand. Wait a minute, this is not therapy. What are we doing?
Oh.
And one of the things I have to do is convince them that they're wearing a headset.
Mm.
And the way that and sometimes I'm not successful. People don't believe me, so I will tell them that what your interpretation of what this person is doing or what's happening in your life is not correct, and they find that really hard to believe
Yeah.
because they're absolutely convinced that they're being personally insulted or attacked.
Yeah.
And to get the concept that the other person is actually responding to their own internal stuff and not to them
Yeah.
is a really hard concept for people to wrap their head around.
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
go ahead.
because I mean, they can't even be conscious of that, and like that only happens when you awaken
That's
because
right.
you're so caught up with, well, you looked at me this way. You look mad. Why are you mad? Like, did I say
Exactly.
something wrong? And then it's just this whole like, what? What are you talking about? I'm chilling.
Exactly. Exactly. And so what I do is I put them through a process where they learn that they're not their thoughts, specifically that they're not the voice in their head. And when they learn that, they instantly the headset's removed. And it's like, oh my God, it feels like somebody just cleaned the windshield.
Oh, I love that.
And literally what's happened, um, uh, Jet is as let me put this up. Jet's saying she didn't hear the intro, so she's unsure what her question should be on anything, Jet. So what I'm saying is that no, what I'm oh at or I don't know. So what I'm saying is that because we identify with our thoughts, we identify with our thinking, that we're literally wearing a virtual reality headset. And if you've never tried one, try one. I mean, go to Best Buy or someplace and just get a demo because they're amazing. And so we have this commentary going into our head. It's the voice in our head telling us things. And as a result, we have a picture that's being formed of a reality. And that basically serves the same purpose as a virtual headset. So literally, you've got people walking around believing and in this virtual headset, they see life,
Yeah.
but it's a version of life. So they're able to get in a car and drive a car and cook their dinner and all this other stuff. But when it comes to, emotional things, then that picture gets formed by the dialogue that they're hearing, and it's actually not what's really happening. Jed is asking, is it normal to hear the voices, but we should not be controlled? Absolutely. You should not be controlled by the voice in your head because it's not who you really are.
Yeah.
So the problem that we human beings have, and I believe this started when we learned language.
Mm-hmm.
I think metaphorically it's tied into the Tower of Babel somehow, and and so we have mistakenly. I mean, look, let me tell the long story.
Yeah.
So when children learn language, they display a type of communication called egocentric speech. And what they do is they talk out loud to themselves about themselves with no expectation that anybody is going to be able to hear them or respond.
Yeah.
And eventually, at around probably 5 to 7 years of age, we have enough neurological development that we can articulate language silently in our heads. And so that egocentric speech of a child goes inside and becomes the internal voice, or what psychologists call the dialogical self.
Mm.
So, in part of the virtual headset is not only do we hear the voice and does it distort our perception, but it comes with a sense of self that comes with it. But we'll get
False.
that's right, it's false self. That's another headset. So if you disidentify from the voice in your head, it's exactly what Jed is saying here. You can hear the voice, but you no longer are controlled by the voice because you know it's not you.
And I'd love to add to that, Mark. I love your question because I think many of our viewers might be confused. Like, okay, wait, so how do I stop the voices? The voices aren't going to stop. That's just what happens. But now it's learning how to not be controlled by them. And the goal isn't to stop the voices because they're still going to
Right.
be there. The goal is to change the way we see the voices. Like it's something that we deal with, but it's like okay, yeah, I'm just gonna move on with that. Like you don't have to talk back to the thought. It's just or talk back to the voice. It's just the voice. It's just there.
Well, let's address a couple things you said. It's quite interesting because I'll bring the comment back up. Is she uses the term voices plural.
Mm,
There's only one voice we need to be worried about, and the voice that we need to be worried about is the voice that sounds like me talking to me.
yeah.
The voice of my mother, the voice of Willie Nelson. We don't
Yeah.
identify with those voices as ourselves, but the voice that sounds like me, I identify with that.
Correct.
So there's really not voices, there's only one voice that's controlling it. Oh, she says, yeah, that's my exact question, Vanessa.
Perfect. Yeah.
But go ahead.
And I figured because I'll be honest for myself when I began this journey I was confused because I thought, well, how do I stop the voices? Like why or the voice? How can I just completely cut it off? How can I just how can I exist as this being that just has no thoughts, no voices? But I realized, wait, that's not the end goal. That's not how it works. It's gonna happen. That's a natural process that occurs.
Right.
So But later on, when I realized, wait, that's not the end goal. The goal is changing the way in which I see that thought, changing and realizing that, oh, wait, I don't have to identify myself with that. I think that's the crucial point that we're trying to get at. It's not
Right.
that we're going to help you stop these voices. We wish we could, but that means we're dead at that point. We're brain dead. So what the goal is that we help you to see it differently. That's the main goal right there.
So, and specifically, what we do is help you stop believing the voice is you.
Yeah.
And and when you stop believing the voice is you, you go free. Literally, you
Yeah.
absolutely go free. And you
Absolutely.
go free of the limbic system and the whole survival gambit that we're caught in.
Mhm.
Because the need for survival actually is an illusion of this virtual reality we're in to begin with. And
Yeah.
once the need for survival is conquered, then life really begins in a whole new way. So,
Absolutely.
but there was
Okay.
something you said I wanted to elaborate on a little bit,
Okay.
and that was that you're right. When the awakening happens, and the awakening happens when you disidentify from the voice, in that moment, you know that voice is no longer you, but you still hear the voice still talks. But let
Yes.
me give you some hope. The voice in your head is like a bonfire. What does a bonfire need?
It needs more fuel.
Exactly, the bonfire needs fuel. Okay, so what's the fuel for the voice in your head? And I'm going to get back to that comment in a second. What's the fuel for the voice in your head?
My thoughts. No, belief.
Yes, exactly. It's your belief that the voice is you. So let me give you some additional hope here because this always happens. When people stop believing in the voice, eventually their head gets very quiet
Hmm.
because that taking away that belief that it's you starves the fuel from the voice, and eventually it just kind of you know flops on its back and dies
That's a great way to put it. It's
like
like
a
a cock.
cockroach.
Yeah.
So Eloina, welcome tonight. So being aware of my thoughts, I can now entertain a thought like a shopping list, but I will not entertain those that land me in self-pity or entertain fears and such. That's not me. That's exactly right. Let me bring that
Beautiful.
back up. So imagine, Eloina, if you invited me over for dinner. So I'm on my way to your house for dinner, and I'm using the voice in my head to reinforce my memory for the directions. Okay, I got to turn right on Elm Street and left on Main Street, right on Oak Street. And then I think, but when I get there, she won't like my shirt and we're going to have a horrible evening. So in the beginning, I'm using the voice in my head as a tool to decode memory and thought symbols or word symbols, but then it starts using me.
Wow. That
And
happened
so,
quick.
and so yeah, that's right. It happens like that all the time. And so what disidentification does is it stops the voice's ability to use you, to convince you of something that's not real.
Correct. Wow.
So you're right. In the beginning, that voice does not stop.
Yeah.
But over time, when it realizes, when the ego realizes that you're not reinforcing it all the time, it just finally gives up. For instance, when we're doing this right now, when I'm in a session with somebody, when I'm having a conversation, I do not have an internal dialogue.
That's beautiful.
It just does. It doesn't. Now, sometimes I do. Every now and then it'll start up. You know, tell me if you're in the audience. Has anybody ever seen the old Peter Sellers movie called The Party? If you do, put it in the comments because in this Peter Sellers movie called The Party, it's a Peter. If you don't know who Peter Sellers was, he was phenomenally funny, just incredibly funny. So in this movie, it's all about this party that these Hollywood people go to. And
Hmm.
Peter Sellers plays an extra in these Gunga Din movies. So they're out on the plains, and the Indian army is fighting the British or whatever it is, and he keeps getting shot, and he keeps climbing up out of the foxhole because he still wants to be in the movie. And so he,
Oh.
he climbs up out of the foxhole, he gets shot again, and he goes back down, and then he climbs up again, and he goes back down. And so the voice in your head is like this Peter Sellers in this Gunga Din movie.
Yeah.
It just does not want to be shot and killed,
Yeah. Oh,
but
that's
ev-
yeah. I love that.
but but eventually it dies. Anyway, the plot of the party is Peter Sellers needs to find the bathroom through the whole party, and he can never find the bathroom. It's very
Oh,
frustrating,
that's depressing.
but it's hilarious. If you ever remember the Pink Panther series many years ago before
Yes.
Steve Martin, that was Peter Sellers.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for
So
sharing that. I love that. I love that you mentioned that because that actually is a great segue into what I was going to mention earlier, that our mind is a constant battlefield.
uh-huh.
And just like you said, like you keep the thoughts keep coming. You just have to shoot them down one by
Right.
one. And it isn't until you achieve and really master that presence
That's
that
right.
that inner dialogue doesn't affect you anymore. Like you just said right now, like that's such a goal for me to be able to have coffee with a friend and not think of the 1,000 things that I have to do or the 1,000 things that I could say. I just would love to sit there and to just be. And
Hmm.
I don't hope I hope that not for a second that any of our viewers think like, oh, okay, Vanessa's got it down. That's why she's on this with Mark. No, this is why we do this, because I'm still somebody who struggles with this and I still have so many questions. Um, and I think this is a great platform for a lot of us who are just struggling and trying to figure this out, because
Hmm.
no one teaches us how to help us with our thoughts. That's not even something that our parents can discuss with us. It's just, oh, you just overthink, or oh, you just
Yeah.
think too. There's no and not to say anything against our parents or any of our loved ones, but no, there's no help out there that helps you to tackle it right where it needs to be tackled. So yeah, there's hope for everybody. So
So Jet says it has to become the new norm. Exactly. I'm
yes.
so accustomed to the trauma
Oh,
and the drama.
yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the ego loves trauma and drama.
Beautifully
So
said. Yeah.
I had another thought, and it's escaping me now, but
Oh.
that's the one thing that will happen. And I'll just respond a little more to what Jed is saying here, is immediately upon, oh, I know the other thing. Immediately upon disidentification, the drama stops. You completely lose your taste in drama. And you just don't want to go into that dark hole, and it feels dirty and unacceptable. So
Yes.
Eloina is saying this becomes so natural that entertaining the voice and
Mm.
lies becomes uncomfortable, and that's exactly what I'm referring to now.
Wow. Beautifully
Because
said. I like that.
and Jet's saying I was self-destructing stubbornly in my own misery. That
Oh,
is the human condition.
yeah.
Go look at the
Sadly.
world. Look at the world around you. This is what's happening.
Hmm.
Now, before I forget it, before we leave all this, I want to show you an exercise how you can get out of this.
Awesome.
Now, you might think you need to practice mindfulness. You're welcome to do that. I think that's very beneficial. You can meditate. I think the use of certain psychedelics in a controlled environment that's therapeutic can absolutely help this process. But I've developed something that's much simpler and works, way more than all those other methods do consistently. And that is this exercise. Just as you go about your day, we call it moment mindfulness on the channel. Moment mindfulness, you do it in the moment, and only takes a moment, and you just notice the voice in your head is speaking. And the instant you notice it, you'll find that it goes away. Okay, now that sounds too simple, right? If you do this repeatedly over the course of, a week or two, we've had several people, Christina was on, and some other people have said, it takes 2 to 3 weeks, maybe max. And then all of a sudden there's a light bulb moment where you realize you're not the voice in your head. Now we're here to coach you, and the Thought Masters community that Vanessa is the manager of, we have a lot of interaction there and a lot of resources to help you through this process. But all you do is you just notice your standard, everyday, ordinary thoughts like, oh, I need to get my hair cut on Saturday, or I wonder if it's going to rain tomorrow, or, that dog is such a nice dog. Just the random comments we make on our head. It's absolutely essential you don't do it on emotional thoughts. Emotional thoughts have flight or fight triggered, and there's way too much going on, because what we're doing is we're practicing separating ourselves from the voice in our head and learning that we are in fact the observer and not the thinker. And when that separation becomes permanent, you experience an awakening moment where you know that you are not that voice anymore. And it is an experience like none other. And it will change the trajectory of your life from that moment on. It's very simple, very easy. And we're here to coach you through it. In the show notes, eventually, in all of our other videos, there's email address, there are QR codes to reach out to us, and we will help you out. We're not going to leave you hanging. Sorry, Vanessa, go ahead. I was dominating there.
No, that's great. No, and I'd like to add to what you mentioned about the catch the first thought, or think of the first thought that comes to your mind. I think even just the fact that I know my brain always goes to, okay, think of something. That's my first thought. I
Right,
think,
right.
and that's when you realize, wait, I think a lot. You don't have to think of something. Even the
Right,
mere thought of thinking of something is a thought itself. So
right.
be sure to capture that too, to our viewers.
So let me tell you a little story about that. Vanessa raises a good point. A couple of years ago, I had I think she was a woman about your age, Vanessa. She was in her 20s. She was an adorable little Hispanic girl. She had 2 little boys. She had anxiety so bad she couldn't get in her car and drive anymore. And of course, she was a mom at home with 2 boys, so she had to take the boys to the grocery store. She couldn't do it. And so I'm trying to teach this thought watching to her, and I'm telling her, okay, just watch for the next thought and tell me what happens when you notice the thought. And we went over this and over this over several sessions. And finally one day, because every time I would say, look, notice the next thought, this strange, expression would go across her face. And I finally said to her, I said, do you want me to tell you what the next thought was? And she said, please, because she was not getting this. And I said, your next thought was, what if I don't have a thought?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, her eyes got big, and that was exactly what she was thinking.
Oh.
And in that second, she got it. It was like, oh my God, I know what he's talking about now. The next week we got together, and she was back in the car driving the boys to the grocery store. The anxiety was gone.
Oh, wow.
That's how powerful this is.
Yes. Capturing every thought. Even when
Yep.
we think we don't have one, we're thinking that we don't have one. That's the
Right.
thought.
That's a thought. Yeah.
Wow. And
What
that
if?
just goes to show, Mark, like how much we identify ourselves with the thought. Like, well, what if I
That's
don't
right.
have like that? That's a thought, but you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
We'll have to go back to that.
Years ago, I was trying to teach this to a friend of mine who, at the time, had been a marriage family therapist for 25 years. And this was totally foreign to him. And I kept saying to him, Raymond, just notice the next thought. And every time I asked that question, he would go into his head and he would say, I'm not going to do this right.
Oh, that's a
That
thought.
was the next thought. He didn't even know he was thinking. He was flabbergasted when he finally caught on. It was like, oh my God, I've been thinking this whole time.
Yeah.
So that's how deep we are in this morass of mental activity
Yes,
We're just completely captured by it, and this will set you free.
absolutely.
Okay, we really appreciate your comments. If you want to be anonymous, we won't put the comment up. Just put "don't show" in front of the comment or the question, and we won't show it, but we'll talk about it. And this is your chance to be part of the discussion tonight. So, what else, Vanessa? Do you find this idea of a headset, that metaphor?
I love
Um,
I love it because it reminds me of, okay, I have glasses, obviously, and in order to see my world, I have to put these on every morning. It's something that I have to do.
right.
We don't recognize that we are putting a VR headset
That's right.
every single day.
Yes.
Like it's that's what we do when we wake up. When we wake up, it's just an invisible headset of, okay, I'm so upset. I went to bed asleep. I went to bed so mad, and then you wake up and, like, I'm still so mad. That's already a headset that you're putting on. Like, I'm
That's
so
right.
mad. If somebody says good morning, it's not a good morning. Why do you say that? Like, that you're just gonna go across your day just miserable. And then there's so many different other emotions that we could be experiencing, but um we I love how a headset just makes sense. It's
Uh huh.
something we're putting on and we don't even acknowledge.
Right. To me, it's a more complete metaphor than just saying that people believe their thoughts.
Yeah, right.
Because it gives you the whole picture of how we're being captured by this thing. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, it comes from two areas of the brain. The first area is the limbic system, which is fight or flight, anger, fear. That's the part of the brain we share with other animals, so it's all about survival. And all emotions come from the limbic system, and it's completely wired up pretty much by the time we're 5 or 6 years of age. So the VR headset's being controlled by a 5-year-old.
Oh, that's terrifying.
And
Oh,
then and then the other part of the brain is called the default mode network, and the default mode network is the part of the brain that talks to us. So the narrative, the story in your head is coming from the limbic system through the default mode network, which creates a narrative about how bad life is and how much you're suffering. And as Jet was saying a few minutes ago, all the drama.
goodness. Yeah.
So we're literally being controlled by the emotional learning of a 5-year-old, and it's invading everything because we're wearing this headset that's dictated by that early childhood emotional learning.
Oh, that's powerful and
Yeah.
tragic.
Yeah. And that's why so much self help doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because, I can say, well, you have too many negative thoughts, and, you need to access your third eye, and, all this crap is on the internet. Okay. The only problem is maybe some of that stuff works. Even like meditation is very powerful. And sometimes people actually have awakening experiences doing meditation. However, for most people, they do the meditation and then they put the VR headset right back on when they're done meditating
Hmm.
and go right back to the emotional programming that's running in their lives.
Oh, because they're doing it for that one moment instead of
That
living in truth and living in the consciousness. Oh, I get you.
Well, they
Okay.
can't because the people who teach meditation don't understand this concept of decide. They will tell you that you're not your thoughts, but they don't know how to direct give you the method of disidentifying with that voice. And until that disidentification happens,
Yeah.
and it's not enough to say that you think too much and all that other, because if you don't get the clear picture of how this works, it's condemnation.
Yeah. It's
And,
like, I
and
already
you
know that. Tell me
you're
something else.
just, yeah, you feel guilty and like a failure, and everybody else is more holy than you because they get it and you don't get it. And
Oh, yeah.
so moment mindfulness is the thing that will set you free and take you to that level. I've had many people come to me who have been long-term meditators, and when they do moment mindfulness, they have the awakening they wanted in the meditation, and they never got.
Wow.
So Eloina is saying, "Oh, thank God I'm 50 now and not 5 anymore. I used to be a Murphy's Law type thinker of thinking to expect the worst was best because if it went well, then you're way ahead of the game." I know, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Let me put that back up in case somebody was reading it and it popped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Eloina, and I know Eloina well. She's a beautiful woman, very intelligent, and had a massive awakening experience. And wouldn't you say, Eloina, when you disidentify, you know that you know. It's unmistakable, the transformation that's happening, that has happened. If you agree with me, uh, put it in the comments. If you don't agree with me, don't put a comment in because, as you know, I'm very sensitive. So
Don't let the limbic system get in your way, Mark. It's okay.
I need love too. Come on. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is a real thing that we're talking about. This is not just pie in the sky.
No.
There's way too much of that on the internet. I mean, you don't have to spend $5,000, go to Florida and activate your pineal gland. You can do it right here, every Thursday at 6:15, and we'll help you through the process. And
We will.
you'll be glad you did because it will completely change your relationships, make them, more compassionate and feel more connected. And it will make you the master of your thinking instead of the slave. And that's the goal. So we're kind of
Beautiful.
running to the end of our time here. If anybody else has a question or a comment, we love them, and we want to address it before we pull the plug. So put them in the comments. If you don't want to be identified, just say "don't show," and I won't put it up on the screen. Here's Eloina responding to me. Yes, you do. It's unmistakable, and you have to make an effort to fall asleep. That's right. So once you're awake, you have to make a real effort to fall back asleep.
Yeah.
So
True.
awesome.
I'm curious now because we are at the end. You were talking about another headset. Was
Oh,
it?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, cool.
So I'm just gonna put this out there.
Okay.
The other headset that we wear is uh, the sense of self, of being a separate person. That is also a headset.
Oh, the sense of self.
And when you truly awaken, you realize it's all one.
So when you say the sense of self, it's like how we perceive how I would perceive myself to be according to another person,
No, according to yourself,
according to.
you have the sense that you are a human being, an individual, experience a life of individuality,
Mm-hmm.
and that virtual headset completely eliminates your ability to feel the oneness that really is reality.
Oh.
And so it's called self-realization. Well, the self you realize is that I'm having an experience of myself. There is no Mark and Vanessa. There is, you know, one expression of consciousness experiencing itself through another person.
Oh, that's deep.
It
That's
is deep.
whoa.
So Jed is saying, I think when awakening is happening, the traumas that were keeping me emotionally paralyzed, that were keeping me physically paralyzed, they completely are manageable. Early on, when I was doing this work, Jet, I had a client, and she had an amazing awakening doing this process, and she had been extensively sexually abused as a child. And I asked her after her awakening about the pain of that, and she said, the pain is still there, but it's over there. And she pointed to the corner of the room. So what had happened was the emotional and physical trauma that had occurred was now separate. It was still there, but she was separate from it. She didn't have to own it all every moment of the day. It was over there. It was at a safe distance.
Wow.
And that's what had happened to her. So yes, the second headset we wear is the headset that I'm convinced I'm Mark Waller and I'm this individual person. And when you take that headset off, you realize there is only the one in many aspects of the one. And this is the deep spiritual message that the sages, discover about the oneness of everything. Which reminds me, do you know how a Buddhist monk orders a hot dog?
No.
He orders one with everything.
Wait. I'm slow. I'm so sorry. I'm so slow. I don't get it.
Because they believe we're one with everything.
Oh, wait. Wow. Okay. I like that. That's cute. I know it's right in front of me. My lips got in the way.
It's a play on words. I think it's hilarious.
That's cute. I like that.
All right, we've got time for one more question before we wrap it up tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. And
Share with your friends.
I'll just say right now that Christina, who's my partner in Mastering Thought, she and I are going through an evolution right now where we're kind of trying to restructure things and make things even more rich and entertaining and informative. And your support of the channel just makes all the difference for us because, there's no money in this at this point. We're just trying to get as many people, to the top of the mountain as we can. And that's our mission.
Absolutely.
Oh, Jet, this is so nice. She says, so glad she found you. So glad we all found you. Thanks so much. So, anything else in closing, Vanessa? Any more comments?
I'm just feeling grateful. I love I love that you gave us imagery that we can now that will help us to understand what is happening unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time we are face to face with someone and we're having a really heated conflict, we have to acknowledge, okay, do I have my headset on? Am I being present?
Exactly.
What's going on in this moment? It's my limbic system. Okay, let's take that off. Let's place that to the side. Let's be present. Let's have this conversation like adults. So.
Thank you for that. Let's have a moment of silence while we all look at this comment from
I love that.
Thank you, Eloina. I know how sincere that is, and I know exactly what you're referring to. So, this is transformational stuff, and I'm glad I've dedicated my life to it because watching people wake up and experience, the end of suffering is what it's all about, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back here next Thursday at 6:15, and we may invite some guests for Vanessa and I to talk to along the way. If you'd like to be on with us, let us know.
That'd be
And
awesome.
please go to the channel Mastering Thought and check out our last video is doing very well. It's about, is the body a hard drive for the mind? And it's about the convergence between psychology and body work. And I think it's pretty fascinating. And we're working on one right now about should. The problem of should.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That's exciting.
That's what we're working on over the weekend here. So look forward to that.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks.
Vanessa. It's so nice to see you.
Good to see you too, Mark. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week.
Jet and Eloina, thanks for making this so much more rich. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
ladies. Bye.